I'm the president of the Black Prisoners Caucus here at Comma Bay. And I have a life sentence. I was sentenced as a senior in high school to aggravated first-degree murder. And one of the things that I would say is me and many other young people who are currently incarcerated face is that sometimes we find ourselves in a position to where we have been blessed with an opportunity to be touched by a lot of people in the community who help us to see life from a unique perspective, to mature out of crime, to value things like public safety and education and preventing other people from being able to come inside of the prison system. But one of the things that we find ourselves faced with is a system that is pretty much unjust, a system that is sentencing people to disproportionate amount of time, not giving people resources in order for them to better their situation.
Here we are, the state's capital, advocating for what's right. Second Chance Act and various other issues will be addressed today. Peace, stay tuned. Freedom Outreach Radio.
Since she's going to give you stop it.
These haters been trying to keep the black man down. We were preparing for the uprise of our people.
Well, I think it's known that we haven't been welcomed in Olympia. Black Voices, conversation about anti-racism hasn't been welcomed, but we're here to introduce that and make sure it's a standard around here.
Thank you.
All right. Is that everybody?
Young man, tell me your thoughts on the system and how it's treated you.
Oh, the system hasn't treated me too good because I'm a black young man growing up.
What school you go to, young brother?
I go to Nathan Hill.
Okay. And have you seen this and how it has been of detriment to your parents? You experienced your father in the criminal industrial system?
I seen it. He was out of my life for a long time.
As a result, right?
Yep.
So we have a young up-and-coming man in Olympia to advocate for his experience and to keep it real, man, all the way.
All right.
So we love the people because the people love us back.
Come on, man.
Continue this movement. We are walking into Olympia.
I just want to lift up the fact that the language, and we've talked about this before, even on the state Republican side and the House Democratic side, around offenders and victims, right? So those are very loaded words. For folks that have been in the system, knowing that disproportionately our family members being referred to as offenders that just never, have a sense of humanity.
Be able to return people back out into the community in order for them to be responsible citizens. And this is something that I think that we must be able to do as a collective, legislators, community members, and prisoners as one. Because I think that that's the only way that we're going to be able to come up with a system in which we can identify the things that don't work, implement things that have the potential to improve rehabilitation, education, transitioning, and also give them guys an opportunity once they do get out into society in order to be successful. Remove barriers of housing, remove barriers that are preventing guys from finding meaningful employment. And now all of a sudden we'll begin to see the criminal justice system really change its complexion, really change the way that it impacts a lot of people's lives. Because one thing is for certain is that the Department of Corrections in Washington State is not geared or designed to rehabilitate anyone who comes into the system.
For political issues that serve your agenda and your purpose. At this moment, you're lined up with issues that are relating to us, but by no means, I'll make this clear from you to me, you are not my friend, you are the devil. So these faces that I see of all these white men, I mean, why don't we see many people of color in these political positions? The despite the fact that you're in the position you're in, the bottom line is that until we can have our issues addressed in a way to where our people are released from prisons and we are incarcerated in disproportionate numbers, I will always see you as an opposition. The Second Chance Act is very important because it will give people incarcerated an opportunity to come back into society, an opportunity to be of value to their families and communities who are out here without them. So you are an ally at the moment, in the words of Tahuti. And I ask that you support this and that you give these most of people who have been young men, the same ages of these young brothers and sisters who are here today looking at you with youthful eyes, an opportunity to come back and provide for their families and communities.
Look up white allies that are actually working and have an anti-racist analysis. Those are people, that is a place to go to for your own humanity. This room right here isn't. This room is just to sit back and watch and figure out what stuff we can agree on, what stuff needs to be tweaked so that we can agree on how to support from a legislative piece and own that the system has been broken. That is not your doing, but you're profiting off it because every day you get here and you get a paycheck off the backs of people. And that's the reality I respect.
There was something that I heard when you were speaking that caught my attention. That threw up some serious red flags. In particular, it was that people were being warehoused in prisons and that they were dislocated from the labor force. Washington State has the 4th largest prison factory system in the United States. They are not working. And Washington State law says that they will not be paid a wage, but will receive a gratuity, which is a tip, which is a gift. And if they do not work, then they are forced into a hole. Technically speaking, in accordance with the 13th Amendment, which made an exception to the abolition of slavery, the conviction of a crime, what we're talking about is slaves. That's right. So I want to just kind of like really throw that into the mix of this framework.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Because it's not the fact that they're outside of the labor market, it's that they're being discounted by the way the capitalist system tracks numbers.
There's a lot of allyship that has to happen, and in that allyship, how we represent, how that language is spoken to, and also how we interact and how we start to develop real accountable and anti-racist relationships is the type of relationships we want to have. Ashe? Ashe.
Privacy is the sort of conversation that happens to not talk about those folks whose voices are not brought into the room. As Black folks who have watched our kinfolk be murdered on video already and seen those videos not amount to any indictments, you know, privacy is not the first thing we're thinking about. So when you put a bill on the table that allows jurisdictions to determine how they'll use that footage and then say that this is a police accountability bill, it's not. If the center of the conversation is really about protecting privacy, this is a privacy bill.
Body cameras will make police more accountable. You're acting like the people, like there are people that were murdered on camera. But we have Philip White, we have Charlie Koenig, we have Tamir Rice, we have Jeremy Reed, we have John Crawford III, we have Eric Garner, and we have Jason Harris that prove that it does not matter if we are murdered on camera, because in America it does not matter. Our lives mean nothing to the police. And how are you going to change that? How are you going to make us believe that the police care about Black lives? When we are watching ourselves being lynched every single day.
I guess first and foremost, let's say what we haven't been saying, it is about race. It will always be about race. And I think as Black people, we're extremely tired of white people making decisions about our lives. my problem with this bill is, for one, that none of us were consulted about how to frame this. You don't have our lens, and you will never have our lens because you're a white man. Each precinct is going to do whatever they want with it. So where does that leave us? So you can turn it off and turn it on when you want to. You can cover it if you want to. It doesn't catch everything that's going on. It has a wide angle, but what happens to that police officer who's over there who turned off his camera? Like, you know, that police officer who pulled Sandra Bland on the side. We didn't catch that on their dash cam. We don't know what happened to her. Yet you guys want you guys want cameras. You guys are able to edit and alter, and we're not going to be able to catch the police's questionable behavior. So at the end of the day, body cams don't stop bullets. Body cams don't hold police officers accountable. Body cams don't prevent people from getting shot, killed, and acquitted. So just like Eric Garner, who was illegally chokehold in New York, it was obvious that he was killed in vain, yet you guys saw that and acquitted that officer, and all that officer got to say was, "I'm sorry." That's not going to help his wife. It's not going to help his daughter. And I feel really sad because it is psychological terror. You guys sit there and say you want body cameras, yet we just saw 12-year-old Tamir Rice get shot on camera, drive-by style, by those murderers. What does that say to these 12-year-old kids? There's 12-year-olds in here in this room. There's women with little children who are going to second grade. What does that say to them? They look on the TV, it's plastered on Facebook, it's plastered on Twitter. That means to them that, hey, you know, my life expectancy might be 15 years because I can be shot and killed and have it on camera, and all I'm going to get is an "I'm sorry." What are they doing to Tamir Rice right now? Trying to get $500 for an EMT bill.
Yes.
So what we're asking for is a pause for a year, and we need to bring all the people to the table because you white folks don't get it, and you'll never get it. I don't care if you painted your skin black, because you'll never get it because you can always take it off.
We black peoples have a rich history of creativity and brilliance, and black children need to learn about that in order to be fully self-actualized human beings and citizens. We ask that Black Studies and Ethnic Studies be instituted as a core part of the curriculum in Washington State.
I am the Vice President of the BSU Chief High School. And one thing that I would like to say is not only do we need to update our books, but we do need new and fresh ones. I'm sick and tired of hearing us just only as victims into slavery. We used to be kings and queens among others, and we used to be up on higher levels than no others. And I need more. I need more than just a little low come. My teachers understand my pain.
The students also demand a resource investment in our communities that will lead to more black and brown teachers, counselors, and professors at the elementary, secondary, and university levels. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, over 80% of the teachers in primary and secondary schools in the United States are white. This means that a student could complete their entire primary and secondary journey of school and never see a teacher who looks like them, shares their ethnic, cultural, racial identity, or history. For this reason, they demand that the state and the city of Seattle purposely and intentionally work with our communities to invest in us so that we can be teachers and professors in schools that help build the confidence of students who look like us, who share our culture and racial identity.
The issue is that not every kid at my school has access to resources like Orca cards or other transportation to get on school on time, therefore creating a disparity in how kids are getting to school on time, and that affects attendance and other rates in that.
We also need new resources because our school also doesn't have textbooks, old computers, and we also want to succeed in school. We have to go to college. We want to be somebody, but we can't because we don't have these resources. And we're just wondering if we could call and say that we need work cards and we get them. How many times do we have to say the things that we need? What do we have to try to get these resources?
out. It is unfair that kids are getting treated unfairly and unfairly, and that schools north of downtown are getting treated with more respect and with more of an investment in their technology. Additionally, running a GSA, it's unfair that we don't have any career studies in our education. We know that there are career people and people of color out there who are succeeding in life, but we're not getting educated on how they are persevering in their lives. It's essential that there are kids of color out there who know that there are people out there who represent them and look like them in their textbooks, in their studies.
The Arrest the Legislature campaign asks that the City of Seattle, Seattle Public Schools, all local universities, and community colleges actively work towards the repeal of I-200. I-200 is affirmatively dismantling affirmative action, and therein keeping out historically and presently marginalized populations from accessing the University of Washington, the state university, which should be effectively the people's university. As stated in an article by the Seattle PI, I-200 was wrong because it let us pretend that we didn't need to do anything to right the balance of decades of injustice. The inequitable conditions of our primary education system, which includes unequal distribution of funding and resources for schools in Black and brown and financially poor communities, is adding to the school-to-prison pipeline. It makes it incredibly challenging for historically and presently marginalized populations to access higher education. These conditions result in dramatically decreased access for Black and brown communities to higher ed. For this reason, we ask that you repeal I-200 so there's equitable and equal access to higher education for those populations who have been historically and presently marginalized.
I'm the president of Black Law Students Association. This legislator has been in content for over 60 days. At $100,000 a day, that's over $23 million as of today. What are we going to do? We need to fund education to create paths into higher education so these young Black individuals can follow after me into higher education. We can't sit back and let education be underfunded while we overfund prisons and people continuously are going through the prison education prison pipeline. We must fund education. We must do it now, and we must hold this legislator accountable.
So, as has already been said to you all, today we're here asking the Washington State Supreme Court to do what they would do with any of us average citizens. Hold us accountable when we're held in contempt of court. If any one of you went into a courtroom and willfully disobeyed, failed to comply with a court order, you would be in jail. You would not simply be fined, you would be arrested. Why is it that our legislature, the ones who make the laws, get to be treated as if they are above the law? How can we have confidence in a judiciary and a legislature that will not follow their own letter of the law and yet expect us to obey their commands and their authority? That is not something I can trust. Those are not people I can trust. Those are not leaders I am willing to follow. So today we ask that our justices in this state follow through on that contempt order and start taking the legislature
statistics show that people mature out of crime. You know, after a person serves 15, 20 plus years on a sentence, the likelihood of them going back out there and reoffending is really low. You know, but I think that the fear of being looked at as a prison coddler or somebody who's soft on crime is just one of the reasons why a lot of our legislators refuse to act. You know, but when you think of it's not cost effective and it's definitely not the right thing to do. You know, so we will continue to support the second chance bill. We will continue to do what we need to do as a way of educating people in the public of exactly what's going on inside the prison system with regards to their tax dollars. And we will continue to keep fighting until we can get something changed as a way of releasing people who deserve to release on their own merits.
Hey,